your love to me. Hello, Calumet region. Leave that up, will you? I want to see it. I want to see how bad I look and everything. And I just want to sit in front of the window and let you guys see that it is gorgeous outside. The lighting on my face isn't going to be just right, but it's so nice outside to the west. And what is happening? Go outside right now, everybody here in the Calumet region. What time is it? Well, it is 6:17 here on Wednesday, April 18th of 2018. And right behind us is a glow of a sunrise, an orange, purple, beautiful sunrise. And it's like impending doom. It is coming across the sky. You could see it, half of the sky. It's kind of like a bald guy's head when they've lost half their hair. And you see right across the top of their head, it's like, well, there's where hair used to be up front. And then there's where hair still is in the back. Some guys kind of lose it at top and they get like a beanie top. And then some guys, it just kind of like crawls back across their head. Well, today it is a bald guy's head crawling across the sky. As right behind us is this beautiful orange ball, and then straight across the sky from all the way from Michigan City all the way to Naperville, there is a just line. And to the south, it's all nasty clouds. And to the north, it's completely clear. Now, the problem is that it is advancing from the south. And ultimately here on April 18th, we are going to have a winter storm. How's that feel? I wore the Carhartt. Pete Corellis a long time ago. Big truck! Gave me a big Carhartt code. Corellis, I think it's a Goodyear or one of his, I don't know how I got it, but it's, I only bring it out when it's really cold. And today is that day. And I'm sorry that at this late juncture in the year, it is 29 degrees here at the Strachan Van Til Studios on the campus of Purdue Northwest. And I think today we got to blame it on the laborers. Now, as you know, I was a laborer for a long time. And as a kid and into my 20s, and been on a lot of job sites, and I very much respect the laborers. But they're sponsoring this weather forecast, and they're not doing a very good job of it. And so to all of my local 41 brethren, can you guys do a little bit better job with the weather? Because I'm looking at a beautiful sunrise that I would like to see all day long, but we ain't going to see it because the impending doom of a bald guy is coming our way, and it should be here shortly. Right now, should have sunrise or sunshine for about another hour. And then it's gray all day long. And then tonight, it starts sleeting about, I don't know, or this afternoon it starts sleeting maybe around 1 or so in the afternoon. It kind of sleets for a good portion of the afternoon. So it should be that kind of sleet where you come out of your car and you're going into a building and it's sideways sleet. And it kind of hits you on the face just like little ice razors. And you're like, man, really? I mean, honestly, I think I went to like 7 places in 24 hours. Just had to go everywhere. And everywhere I went, people are like, oh my God, I can't take it. This is so bad. It's so cold. And did you watch the Cubs game last night? Oh, did you go, Ryan? Sam went to the Cubs game. I'm like, Sam, why are you going? Well, he's a Cardinals fan. Like, who? I mean, that's the worst. Going to a Cubs game when it's 35 degrees and the wind's blowing off the lake. I've done it many times. And every time I say, what an idiot you are to myself, and then I do it again. And if somebody had asked me I had too much stuff to do. Somebody had asked me, it probably would have went last night. But anyways, it's 29 degrees, and at some point it's going to start snowing tonight. What's that? Who's that? You're pointing at something. Bud Light! Hey, Bud Light! Big truck! I don't know why. I mean, I've known Mark and John Kiernan for a long time. And John has recently retired. Mark's still over there. I knew their dad, Mark's dad, George Kiernan. And that starting to make me like one of the old Hammond businessmen. And I just see their trucks. And I just want all of you Bud Light truck drivers to know that they're on my speed dial. And if you guys go too fast behind me here, I'm going to call them. And then I'm going to get Polish King's radar gun out, and I'm going to radar you. So don't go too fast. At least we know that the Bud Light trucks aren't going too fast. Some of the other ones are right behind me. Anyways, the snow starts around 7 o'clock tonight, and it lasts for a good portion of the evening. Tomorrow could be a rough, nasty, frozen road morning. John Bach came in the other day, and he is the reigning streets and sand guy, or what do you call it, public works guy in the region. And quite frankly, I think he counsels other public works guys, and he's been around since the 70s, and he's in Highland. And how you doing, John? And you know what he just says to me? Snow trucks. I'm like, what are you talking about? He goes, we're still throwing salt down. No, salt trucks. Yeah? So plows. He goes, do I need to say anything else? And I'm like, you know, you don't, because your salt trucks are going to be out tomorrow morning. They're going to be plows out tonight. Most of the accumulation should be to the north and west of the city, but around here it'd just be kind of like a coating of ice, and maybe just a little bit of snow on top of it. So what I've got class here tonight, sports broadcasting class. Let me just go from topic to topic with absolutely no outline. Do you mind? Sports broadcasting class. I've been teaching this at Purdue. It's been an incredible experience. Will I teach again? Maybe I'll do like one class a year, like maybe every other semester or something. It's a lot of work that I was not prepared for, but it is some of the most rewarding work I've ever done in all of my media world life here. And these, I've got 10 solid broadcasting students. What happened was the last day before the semester started, they asked me to teach this thing. So it wasn't as if it was publicized in the handbook that, hey, you're going to be live on the radio, and that we had people who just wanted an elective. You know what I mean? No, I've got 10 solid, very serious broadcasting students, and my guys and my producers here now, Ryan Walsh and Jimmy Mullaney, are nodding their heads. We've got a great group. And for the final project, they're learning how to do their own sports talk shows. And they've been doing it every Monday and Wednesday for a couple weeks now. So tonight is the last run through before they do their finals next week. So they'll be on tonight from 6 until 8, live on the radio, and then also live on Facebook. So if you're driving around between 6 and 8 tonight, and you want to call them, these young guys and women are really getting good at doing the show, and at times it's really starting to work. What's up, Brian? All right, on the Borman, we got a truck on fire between Calumet and the Boulevard, and if somebody's seeing that, take a picture of it and send it to 219-845-1100, and Jimmy Mullaney will be able to flash that on our Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube feed that we're there. So anyways, these guys and gals are going to be doing their show today from 6 until 8. They're producing the whole thing. I sit in the other room and I just watch it. If you're driving around and you're a sports person and you call them, that's the one kind of weakness they're having. They're not really learning how to interact all that well with callers yet, and everything else is just going amazing. So they're really kind of getting the interaction of doing sports broadcasting, and some of them have very specialized areas of knowledge, and I'm very excited about what the future holds for radio people around here. I think I could hire any one of them, and they would fit right into the team. And it's good to have a lot of people on the bench, too. So that'll be from 6 to 8 tonight. If you're just a regular caller or you never call radio but you like sports and you're listening tonight, call them, ask a question, and interact with them. And then I will grade them on how they're interacting with you, or at least coach them on that. And we all win that. All right, finishing this rather lengthy Local 41 weathercast. Today, basically the high, it doesn't get out of the 30s. It's a nasty winter day. It is such an optical illusionment. As Jimmy, can you swing that camera up above my head and look right behind the heating and air conditioning unit on a building across the street is a beautiful sunrise. and it is getting circled, or it's getting surrounded by all of these nasty clouds that are moving in and that will be snowing on you at some point. But right now, I feel like I just want to hug this air conditioning unit and sunrise that is happening. And Jimmy just put a camera on it. If you're laying in bed, just get out and look to the east. That beautiful sunrise, it's almost covered up. It's going to go away. And you're going to live in another gray cloud for another whole day. And what I want to do right now is I would like to do a group hug for everybody in the Calumet region who is tired of nasty weather, is had that opportunity 2 or 3 times to move away to warm climes, but you stayed here because you love the Calumet region. But at this time of year, when you have this prolonged winter, you're just walking around and you're like, man, I can't take it anymore. I want to put my coats away. I'm tired. I'm bundling up my kids. I'm just everything. I can't take it anymore. I'm going to reach through your radio. I'm going to reach through your Facebook, your Twitter, your YouTube. If you're listening on the TuneIn app, which many people do, I'm going to reach through and I'm going to give you a big hug right now, okay? It's going to be okay. Someday soon, it's going to be 60 degrees and sunny, and you're going to smile once again. Until that moment, it's going to snow today and rain. John Bach's going to get his salt trucks out. And in a short period of time, this beautiful sunrise behind us is going to get swallowed up by massive cloud cover. By 2 in the afternoon, you're going to be slapped on the face by little ice pellets. But it's all right. Let's just take a big hug and a big breath, because we are the Calumet region. You live here because you love the people. You love the corruption. You love the pollution. You love the traffic. You love the people. You love the sand dunes. You love high school basketball. You might even, if you're really crazy, you might even love WJOB, which means Calumet region like no other thing. It's just a matter of persevering a few more days. Tomorrow, you might see some sunshine a little bit, high in the 40s. By Friday, a high of 50 and sunny. It's around the corner. 50 and sunny ain't that great, but I'll tell you what, it beats what you're going to get today. Hey, let's take Donna on line 2. Donna, how have you been? Are you making it through this weather?
Yes, but I sure wish it would go away fast. I'm tired of it, too.
How do you cope with it, Donna?
Just get myself out of the house for a while.
Any moment of sunshine is an occasion to walk outside.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
So what's going on?
But what I called about is I wonder if anybody else is getting any phone calls from the Indiana Health Department. The first time they called me, they said my number was picked. Now, I've had about 4 or 5 different calls from them saying they want information on my health, which I won't give. I just hang the phone up. So I was trying to find out the Indiana Health Department phone number in a book, but I can't find it. And I was just wondering if is this a scam?
Well, Ryan Walsh behind the curtain there just wrote scam on the board.
Okay.
So my initial feeling is, I don't know about if somebody calls me and they want any sort of information anymore, I don't give it, okay? And that's personally.
Either.
So I got to tell you, you got to be really wary of giving information over the phone that somebody has called you. Now, as far as I understand it, and if any local officials are listening and can counsel Donna on this, I've never heard of the Indiana Department of Health calling people and asking about their personal health records. So you did the right thing so far in hanging up on them, okay?
Yeah, like I said, 4 or 5 times. In fact, I got the last one again yesterday. It was like a little after 5 o'clock.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay. Ryan Walsh fixes everything and runs my show. He says on the big board, he says, you need to call the Attorney General's office. Do you have a pen?
Just a moment, please.
Yeah, sure. Take your time.
Oh, and I just dropped it, so I have to go get one. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Well, nobody's in any hurry. You know, the only person who's in a hurry is in that sun over there that's going to be swallowed up by these clouds any minute now.
I know. Okay.
All right, so.
Okay, what is it?
Okay, here we go. Call the Attorney General's office and start there.
Okay.
It's 317.
317.
232.
What? 32? Wait. What'd you say?
We'll go one at a time. Okay.
Okay.
You got 317, right?
Right. Okay.
All right. Write a dash. Okay.
Okay.
And then you got 232.
232.
Yes, and then write another dash.
Okay.
And go with 6201.
6201.
Read it back to me.
317-232-6201.
There you go. Call the Attorney General's office. They're on Indianapolis time. I'm guessing you could call them as early as 7:30 this morning.
Oh,
time,
okay.
Okay. And then call me tomorrow and tell me what happened. Okay.
Okay, I will. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, Donna.
Okay,
Talk to you.
You're welcome. Okay, bye.
I'm sorry that the sun is going to go away here, but I'm giving this last hug. I'm giving you guys a warning. Ryan hates it when I stand in front of the sunrise because you can't really even see my face. But right now, if you guys were watching it, there's a halo above my head, and that head is been through a lot. And the halo behind us is beautiful. And I literally got to enjoy the sky when it's like doom. It's like going and see a movie at Showplace, and there's a man behind the door, and he's going to come, and he's going to grab the main character, and you know what's going to happen. And you're grabbing your seat, and you're just eating popcorn left and right because you know that doom is around the corner. It is on the other side of the door. Let's go to Kenny on line 3. Hi, Kenny. How are you?
Hi, good morning. Thanks for the hug, Jim. I needed it, man.
Okay, yeah. Two really hairy guys that have been punched in the face at least 1,000 times, hugging each other. Hey, Wayne.
I was just trying to drive in the back 40 here, and my truck is full of ice. You know, I've been out here since way before daybreak, thinking, well, I got to get an early jump, and it's cold out today. Damn it! But it's coming, Jim. I'm telling you, spring is on its way. I got a forest of cottonwood trees. I'm looking up right now as we speak, and there is not. I don't think there's going to be leaves for another 2 weeks. Honest to God. I mean, and they're usually the first ones up. You know,
the cottonwoods are. They're also
cottonwoods.
They're also the ones that drop that. That nasty fuzz when you're like you take a deep breath in and you're like, I just inhaled half a cottonwood tree.
Oh, I got to have. There's easy 100 of them here, and like I don't know when they fall, but it's like snows in July or August, whenever the heck they come down. But what are you gonna do, man? It's Chicago. Chicago area. You know, we've had some really nice springs, though, Jim. You know that's. I'm just trying to look positive here, and you know,
how's that working?
It's not too easy. Everybody's grumpy, and
everywhere you go, man.
You don't want to do nothing. I sit in my chair at 5:30, and I go back to CNN and Fox News. I said I wouldn't do it, but
hey, listen. All right. Did you watch it last night?
Well, I watched it a little bit with Mrs. Bush, and then of course all the Stormy. Oh my God, I'm tired. But the biggest thing is, Jim. You know, they had a big segment on, not a big segment. They said how all the presidents were just scumbags. Everyone except like Lincoln, and there's a few other good ones that weren't, womanizers. And, oh, my God, they went off on Kennedy. Wow. I guess he was a real scumbag. But I just don't get it, the whole thing, Jim. But 18 years in Maui, we lived the karma. That was like the big rule there. And I just don't get people that don't believe in it. But
hey, listen, I do have one question for you. Did you see that sketch of the guy that they said threatened and intimidated Stormy Daniels? Have you seen the sketch?
Kind of looked like you a little bit. No,
in a weird way, it looked like my brother. It looked like about 20 guys I know. And I'm like, you know what? They're gonna find this guy because it's a pretty detailed sketch. And it looked like a little bit like my brother. And then I'm like, my wife's like, well, it kind of looks like you. And I'm like, it looks like a dude, And they're going to find him, man.
Oh, yeah. That's the guy that did the... I'm surprised Stormy's still around, man. In the old days, she'd probably be, swimming with the. I don't know.
Hey, too bad. What about Blagojevich, man? They knocked down his, looking at anything about his case. I didn't even get to that. He was in front of the Supreme Court, and they're not having any of it. And Blagojevich is going back to his cell.
You know what, though, Jim? Like I said, it all goes back to the old. I mean, I know he didn't do any, or he didn't get any money. He didn't do this. He didn't. But when you're a governor, well, first of all, everybody's got cell phones, so everybody's got cameras. Everybody's listening on your conversations. Don't be so damn stupid to say stuff. And he did, and they made a example out of him, just like they did Buncich. And he still breaks my heart. You had the flashbacks the other day in Buncich. You got to do the right thing, and you got to this and that. I'm like, Johnny, what the heck? Talk about, practice what you preach, dude. I still can't believe him. It's almost a little heartbroken, Jim, because didn't he just seem like the nicest guy? I know he didn't do much. Well, who knows what he did? Who knows what he got? I know he got caught, but who knows what he really did? But I hope these politicians, can learn by this and just do the right thing. My God, how hard is that?
You are the eternal optimist.
Well, I seen talk to Sheriff Martinez the other day at the fights, and very nice guy, nice, all a lot of politicians were there, but.
Hey, I talked to a number of people about the fights, and I do apologize to Jack and Karen for not being able to go, but I did have to go to the American Heart Association.
Yeah.
So it's just bad scheduling. Yeah. But a couple of guys said that, I think my buddy Wayne Micka was telling me that a couple of guys went down right away, got hurt early and went down.
The first 3 fights, Jim, boom, boom. And my buddy, the referee, he kind of puts it on. He used to put on Honolulu and stuff, and he was refereeing this time, and he just said, Ken, we can't have guys getting hurt. Well, last year, the first fight, that kid, I helped carry him out of the ring last year, so I think they should use bigger gloves, Jim.
They got to use bigger gloves, man. And if you've ever sparred with the 16-ouncers, man, I mean, what are they using? What size?
Well, no, they're using 16s, but you know what, Jim? The 16s these days and the 16 ounces, back in the day, they were different. Like, I used to have these 20-ounce gloves. They're from Spartan. They're from New York City, and they were nice. And they had a lot of padding on it. These 16 ounces that they're using, they remind me of just like bag gloves, 12-ounce bag gloves. And these guys are big. They're 250 pounds. It's nothing for them guys to, to throw a 16-ounce glove around. I know when I fought, there were 10 ounces, man, and I'll tell you what, Jim, that was nothing. But that's 139 pounds too. But I can't imagine a 240-pound guy hitting you with 10 ounces or even 16 ounces. But
the 16 ounces that I remember were puffy, and they were usually old and kind of pillow-like. And if I thought maybe they were using 12-ounce gloves, but if they're using those real tight 16-ouncers, then maybe they do need to think about something. Because, and not only that though, Kenny, the guys that are going into the ring that are hitting them, I mean, there's like almost an unspoken decorum that if you're going into one of these exhibitions, you kind of gotta jab your way into the fight. I mean, if they're coming out and just giving a big right to them and knocking them out, I mean, that's I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just
and you know what? You're right, Jim. But ain't nobody jabbing it. Well, they're not trying to. I told about 6 or 7 guys, I go, come out there and just throw the right hand, bam-o, just one time.
Oh, you're the one telling them to do it.
Oh, no. I tried it I did it one time in Golden Gloves in Hawaii, and I just missed a guy. He was a big, tall guy, a black kid. But, I mean, I think, but I don't want Jack to hear it. Maybe he's sleeping. Or he's probably in the gym already. That kid, he's nuts. Boy, does he work out.
Hey, now I promise you I'll be there next year. How's that sound? I'm not. You know what? I had a couple people come up to me last night. I can't remember who it is, And you know what they asked me?
What?
When are you and Kenny Angotti going to get in the ring? And my
Ooh,
answer to that
see?
was never. We're both too smart for that. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
All right, Kenny.
Hey, my last sparring partner was Marty Jakubowski when he fought for a world title. I went 9 rounds with him. That was it. I was 36 years old. Last time I got punched in the head.
Anything after 35, we were talking, you have no business getting punched in the head.
Well, and there you go, Jim. That exactly. There's guys in there that are, there's guys that are probably 50 years old the other night, man. It's just not good. It's not good.
All right, man. Hey, Kenny, good talking to you. Thanks a lot, buddy.
All right, brother. Hey, spring is coming, man. Get up. Do something. See you later. Bye.
Talk to you. Hey, last message of this sun for the day is right behind me. We're going to take a break, and I'm going to stand here, and when we come back, I'm going to hopefully have a little bit more sun, but there is no guarantee. It is getting swallowed up. The sun is being eaten by a monster cloud formation. But have no fear, Cinco de Mayo is here.
Mayor Thomas M. McDermott Jr., the Hammond Parks Department, and PepsiCo are proud to announce the 14th annual Cinco de Mayo celebration to be held on Saturday, May 5th at the Hammond Civic Center from 5 to 10 p.m. Tickets are on sale now for $15 each, which includes food and live entertainment. Cash bar will be available. Mexican cuisine provided by El Gran Taco Mexican Grill, and the entertainment provided by Mariachi All-Stars, Ballet Folklorico, Fiesta Mexicana, and the band Together. For tickets, visit the Hammond Civic Center Monday through Friday or call 853-6378. For more information, visit gohammond.com.
My name is Ernie Dillon.
My name is Joe.
My name is Bill Emerson Sr.
We are veterans supporting our fellow veteran, Rich Novak, for North Township Board.
Rich is experienced, dedicated, hardworking, and professional.
Remember, vote on Tuesday, May 8th.
Approved and paid for by the Committee to Elect a Vet, Richard J. Novak.
Laborers Local 41, together with Indiana Laborers Training Center and our signatory employers, provide state-of-the-art instruction in all areas of the construction industry, from hazardous material handling and environmental remediation to road construction and highway safety. Remember to slow down in construction zones and that the Local 41 members working there are mothers, fathers, coaches, and mentors. Laborers Local 41. We build Indiana in more ways than one.
For a fast and friendly car wash, go to Easy Clean Car Wash. Easy Clean is happy to announce their new location's grand opening at 1637 45th Street in Griffin. Open 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days a week. Or stop by one of our 3 other locations in Highland, Cherville, and Lansing. Free vacuuming, carpet shampoo, or freshener towel with every wash. And it's fast, easy, convenient, safe, and gentle. Go to myeasyclean.com for more information.
Get your car washed. Get your car washed. Get your car washed. What number is this? 6? It's a little bit like, get your car washed. Excuse me. Let's pay homage to the sun. It's going away. Right now, out to the east, you can see the very bottom of the sun. The butt of the sun. You know, like when you're sitting on the edge of a pool and you're kind of just got your butt hanging over the ridge. And there it is. The butt is going away, and I just got one little bitty tidbit. I still see the sun. Now it's gone. There is still a glow out to the east, and you should enjoy it because there's cloud cover coming, and a winter storm is coming. Get your scraper out that you took out of your car and you put into the garage for the summer. Get it out. You know those winter boots that you have already put into the back of the closet? Yeah, they're going to be needed. As we should have by about noon or 2 o'clock, we should have some sideways sleet going on. And then by about, 7 or 8, it might turn to snow. And then overnight, you get a little bit of a dusting and some icy mix, wintry mix. John Bach and the Highland Public Works right now are plotting on how to employ the salt trucks in the morning and the plows. So I don't know if it's necessarily going to be plowable snow, but it's going to be slick. Could be a rough commute tomorrow. So I already gave you guys a big hug. Would you like a big kiss? I can give you a big kiss. There it is. You just got kissed. High of, say, 37, 38 degrees, somewhere in there today. And then tomorrow, maybe a little bit of sun and a high in the low 40s. And then by Friday, a high of 47 degrees and some sunshine. 52 is your high on Saturday. And I will be out at Community Park at 9:30 in the morning. And I will throw out the first pitch for Munster Little League. And then I will go over to Dowling Park and announce 2 softball games for the Purdue Northwest Pride. And the women are an amazing outfit. They got a good team. Nikki Stansel. And I'm not doing the baseball games. I'm doing the girls softball games. Ostensibly, they're quicker games. And they move faster and you're closer to the action. My eyes are not that good to sit ground level and see when the on a baseball game, when a ball goes into the gap. It's just, the game's right there. They're quicker. I'm doing the softball. Ryan and Sam are doing the baseball. So I'll be out there. If you guys are wanting to watch the Pride play, that'll be on Saturday at noon and 2. I don't know who they play. I think it's a GLIAC game, isn't it, Ryan? So you'll be able to watch that. All right, let's take a look. Weather, of course, brought to you by CertifiedElectrician.com. And if you need electrical work done, have a union-based electrical contractor do it. And let's take a look at traffic. Jimmy, can you just throw that up on the screen up there? And that way I could look at it instead of trying to have to find it on my phone. All right, here you go. 294 around the city looks pretty good. 80 going east and west looks okay. Bishop Ford, Dan Ryan, Skyway Toll Road are okay. Now, on the eastbound 8094, so that is towards Porter County, between Calumet Avenue and Indianapolis Boulevard, there's a truck fire. Do we have any pictures of that yet? Nobody sent us a picture of the truck fire to 219-845-1100. Is there any Facebook posted pictures of it? And eastbound 8094, 2 lanes closed between Calumet Avenue and Indianapolis Boulevard. Truck fire. Hopefully everybody got out. There it is. We got a picture of it. And it is, and who sent that in? Do we know? Or is that on Facebook? Is it on Facebook? The text line. Somebody send it to the text line. Thank you. Seek and ye shall find, saith the Lord. It is a, put it back up there, will you? It is a, I'll just describe it to you guys on the radio. Eastbound, you know how they have that big, I guess, concrete slab wall along the Borman, right close to that big wall of sound barriers? There is a big box truck, and it's bright green, and it is right up against the wall, so at least it's off to the side. So if you're wondering why there's really not that big of a traffic delay, it's that the truck is way over to the right. Looks like the cab was on fire, and they have the cab open forward, so it's right up against the wall, and it looks like people are able to drive around it. I don't know once they get emergency vehicles there and they, if that changes, but that looks like it just happened just a little bit. Thank you for taking a picture and sending it in to whoever did that. I want to say hello to Terry Stinnett. Am I Stinnett? Terry Stinnett. It is her last day at Purdue Northwest, and she listens. Now, is this her? Is she a teacher or is she she's a student? All right, Terry Stinnett, last day at Purdue Northwest. Now, let's see. The finals are coming up, I think, on the last week into early May. So Terry must be finishing up a project or something. Congratulations, Terry. Terry is going to be graduating. Is that right? Oh, she worked there. She works there. Okay, so it's her last day. Okay. Terry Stinnett, thank you for serving here at Purdue Northwest. I don't know where you're going. I wish you good. Wish you well in your next endeavor, and thanks for listening to the show. Whatever you do, make sure that next endeavor allows you time to watch or listen to my show in the morning now, and I make it. And I had a number of people that brought this up to me. They don't necessarily listen to the morning show directly, and especially retired people. It seems like a lot of people who retired, then all of a sudden they're sleeping till 8. They go, hey, Jed, I just get up and I put your show on my Facebook Live later in the day. It's like I'm with you, but I'm not waking up to listen to you at 5:30. I go, okay, I'll handle that. Anyways, way to go, Terry. Also, there will be a graduation ceremony on May 5th, and they are going to have a surprise commencement speaker. I'm not going to tell you who it is. It's not me, okay? But it's going to be interesting. And, well, we'll just leave it at that. All right, we talked about traffic. 294 looks good. The Bishop Ford's a little bit lighter. It's really just eastbound to 8094. And traffic is brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. Let's go to line 599 and talk to Dave from Gary. Hey, Dave, how are you? Hey, Dave, how are you? Hey, Ryan, you going to put him on or not?
There we go.
Hey, Ryan's going on the Tony Ponick way of engineering a show. There's a little delay, you know what I mean?
I'll always give Ryan a break because he does about 18 things for you. So, and he butters your toast and he does everything else. So,
gotta have somebody butter your toast.
Exactly. Hey, I just drove by that truck fire. It's against the right-hand wall. If you were in the far left-hand lanes, you're going to get by fine if you don't tap your brakes and rubberneck. There is no fire. It's been put out. You're right. The cowling is up. The fire trucks are there. If you stare straight, and you'll get through it just fine.
Thank you. Can I bring? Yeah, we're showing the picture. We got another picture, so a second person took a picture of it. It's a big green box truck. You know, those always scare you, though, man. I mean, you got to, you know, not every truck driver's nimble like you, Dave, and shaves their back. Right. You know, some of these guys are big and heavy. Front. Yeah, and front. And how far down do you go? Anyways,
do it all.
All right, good enough. That was an answer I didn't need. Oh, okay. Excuse me.
You brought it up.
Yeah, I guess I did. But you know, those truck fires. You know, not every dude. Most of them are dudes, or even women, are nimble, and some are, you know, quite overweight. And it's, you know, if you got to get out of there in a hurry, you worry about it. It looks from the picture I'm looking at right now that they got out. You know what I mean?
You know, there was some amazing pictures of that truck fire 3 weeks ago. The one that hit the wall, ruptured the fuel tank, and it looked like a wall of napalm. You could still see the scorch marks on westbound 8094, just about where that is. If you've seen any pictures of that, that was a pretty dramatic. That there was, you know, the flames were 15 feet in the air and probably 200 feet long when the fuel tank ruptured. That was just a few weeks ago.
Did that person make it out okay?
Somebody pulled him out and saved his life. Yes.
Hey, what is I mean, you've been driving a truck for a while. What's the protocol on that? I mean, what is the safety, you know, way you're supposed to get out in a hurry, or is it just get out?
Just get out. There's really no, I mean, like on my truck, the windshield is designed to get kicked out from the inside. It's just not, it's not glued in. It's just rubber sealed all the way around. You could, but you know, that's the kind of thing. It's, I mean, if you're upside down, you're on your side. You know, you have to get out of the door. But you know, there's through hazmat training, you know, you're taught if you have any sort of hazmat spill or fuel spill, you know, don't point downhill. You don't want to go under any bridges. You know that there's a protocol, and you don't think you'll remember it till it happens. And I've had a hazmat spill once, and it's ironic how everything just kind of clicks and you do the right thing. But everyone functions different under emergency and stress, as you know. But hey, two things. There's some lots for sale in Miller on the beach if you're interested. They just put 3 new lots in a new home, and there's actually 2 new homes right on the beach. Impressive. I mean, these are some big houses. And I don't care if it's outside money. It's outside money is the best. It's found money, and I happen to know the one gentleman, the lot was $200,000.
Yikes.
And It's a $300,000 home, so he's got a $500,000 invested in Miller, which is awesome. And it is. It's outside money. Don't care. Outside money is spent the same as inside money. So that's all good with me.
Why are there new lots? I thought all of Miller on the beach was already developed.
No, there was 4 lots that were kind of like being held that you didn't know. Gene Ayers had them. A gentleman purchased one. He's putting a beautiful home up right off Marquette Park. You can't miss it. And then there's 3 more lots for sale. Pryweller had them for years and years, and I know Gene Ayers acquired them somehow. You know, there's some things you find out, and there's some things you're just never going to find out. But anyway, there's 3 brand new lots for sale, literally right off the Marquette, where you go down Grand, and when you get to the beach, you can either turn right and go on Oak, or turn left and go through Marquette. That's where they are, right there. So if anyone's looking, they're only $200,000.
All right, man.
Got a beautiful view.
I
wanted to hit Sean Hannity really quick.
Oh, what the heck, man?
That is an absolute mess, and he sounds really panicky, you know. And when he said, "I've never given Cohen money, I've never got it received," he's saying odd things. I've never received an invoice for him. I only talked to him once. I never hired him. I never had him on retainer. And the one thing that really stands out, he said, there was never a third party involved. Those are very odd things to say. And, he said, I never had him on retainer and I never hired him. I just talked with him.
He consulted.
But yet, out of the other side of his mouth, when his office was raided, Hannity says, well, I have the privilege of attorney-client privilege. Well, how could you have attorney-client privilege when you just said you never hired him and he's not on retainer? So,
well, the reason that is huge is 2 main reasons. Is that it wasn't that they found out that he talked to Cohen. It was that there was documents. There was documents about Hannity, is what they're saying, or what they're suspecting. Right. That Cohen has some documents about Hannity. And the second thing is, what is right as a radio and a media guy? Here's the thing. It's just like doctors are the worst patients. Media guys are the worst patients when they have problems. They don't want to listen to people that are trying to tell them, hey, this is how you handle this crisis. He should have gone and he should have consulted with some people and said, hey, listen, I'm under fire here. I made a mistake. How do I handle this? And then a crisis communications person would have came back and said, hey, listen, you're in a compromising situation. The only thing you need to do right now is apologize to people for making a mistake. Do not try to rationalize or legitimize or argue your way out of it.
Well, that's called being honest, and that's an admission of guilt. Yeah. And when you get to that level, Hannity's last contract was $200 million. He's an extremely wealthy man and very powerful in radio, and to come out with a mission of guilt, and this is all coming back with the president, and it's not never about what you do, it's about the lie, right? It's
not always about the lie. It's about how you handle it. And I don't think he's lying, and I happen to respect Sean Hannity a lot, but when he does what you're talking about, when he's like, oh, I didn't pay him, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that.
Right.
When you should have come out when this story started to come out. All you had to do is say a little bit of an aside and say, by the way, I know this guy, and I've even asked him some legal questions before. And then it's out there, and then nobody cares. You know what I mean? But it sounds like
stay ahead of it, right?
He tried to hide it, and now he's trying to kind of push blame. And it's like, dude, you are handling it as badly as I've seen a public figure handle something, and you're the press. What is wrong with you?
Right. One of the nighttime guys said, hey, when your lawyer's office gets raided and he's in trouble, you better get a lawyer.
And shut up. And just shut up. How do you not shut up?
They can't do it. They just can't be quiet. It's like Kuziak with a mic in his hand, right? The last thing I'd want to do when he gets a mic in his hand is try to pry it out of his hand.
All right.
And I hope he's listening. He's going to be on shortly.
Oh, good luck with that, by the way. He'll be on here later. Hey, I'll talk to you. Thanks. All right, guys, here's a big story that's around. Here's a sports story. In 1972, he was working out at Lake Central, and he started a wrestling program at Kaler Middle School. He got to know Al Buchnowski over here in Munster, the longtime wrestling coach at Munster. And next thing you know, he goes and over the summer, he graduates, he finishes his master's over here at Purdue Cal in education. And he's like, well, I guess I got to get a job. So he starts talking to Al Buchnowski, and he goes and he interviews with Munster. And he gets home and answers the phone, and it's Munster. They offer him a job, and he becomes, hey, guys, what's going on? And he gets a job at Munster. 5 minutes later, phone rings. Lake Central School District. Yeah, we're going to offer you a job. You want to come, and you'll be a teacher, and you'll be a wrestling coach here in Lake Central. I'm sorry, I just took the Munster job. 10 minutes after that, Crown Point Schools call. Hey, we'd like to offer you a job to come teach and coach there. Well, he didn't do that, and it's just kind of a weird thing because perhaps if Lake Central had called first or Crown Point had called first, we wouldn't be doing this story right now. It'd be an entirely different life set of circumstances. But after 45 years of coaching football and for a long time wrestling in the Munster schools, Leroy Marsh retired yesterday. I blogged about it. You can read my blog, jimdedlow.com. But what you really want to do is you want to go to our Facebook feed and you want to watch the video of that interview with Leroy Marsh, Jamie Marsh, and Chris Marsh. I ostensibly did the interview. Chris Ramirez was there, Regent Sports. The Times had a guy. Mike Hutton was there from the Post. Dave Miller was there from Regional Radio. And we were all kind of hastily called yesterday to come to Mike Wells's office at Munster High School. Hendricks was there, the superintendent, Trippenfeldis, they were all hanging around. And I had the honor to play for Leroy Marsh. He was the defensive coordinator when I played in the late 70s. Played defensive halfback, safety for his defenses. And he was the head coach for my brother Jeff, who's listening from Columbus, Ohio right now. And he was the mentor for legions of young men. And I didn't realize I'm sitting there and everybody's kind of looking around like, when's this thing going to start? And I realized, well, I better start this because I've known Leroy Marsh since I was in 7th grade football. So I don't know, maybe, how old are you in 7th grade football? So was that 44 years? So I started the interview, and you guys can watch that. I think about 5,000 people have watched that already. And it's the story of a man who kind of sounds like he got up, was eating his Cheerios, and said to Jamie, "Hey, listen, I think I'm gonna retire today." After 7 years as an assistant, he was assistant under John Friend when I was playing. And talk about, we're looking out over here at the beautiful sunrise to the east that's going away. It's a gift. It was just handed to us. And if you guys look out right now, the sun's going away, but it's still one of the most gorgeous things you could think of. And every once in a while, you're given a gift, and you don't realize it until later. And I played high school football for John Friend, who to this day I consider my friend, I guess. And he's like, "Can you call me John?" I'm like, "I can't do that. Best I can do is call you Coach." It's just not going to go that way. It will never be John Friend to me, nor will it be John Friend to thousands of young men who played for you. It's Coach Friend or Mr. Friend, and that's all it's ever going to be. And the same thing goes with Leroy Marsh. And I'm interviewing him. I go, "I can't say Leroy. A lot of people do." I'm like, "No, this is Coach Marsh." So I was incredibly fortunate to play football in the late 70s for Munster High School because there were two men that just have blown everything away, and that is John Friend and then Leroy Marsh. John Friend, I think, coached there for started football at Munster. And then he came here to Purdue Northwest. And I got to tell the story. Coach calling me this week or last week and called me a couple times, and I take my nap and I turn my phone off. Finally, I get a hold of him. I'm like, what's up, Coach? Coach Friend. And he's, how you told me, you're teaching sports broadcasting. I want to come out. I want to see the young people. And I came out, and the class is listed in the Purdue Northwest class listing as being on campus, but I actually hold it over here. So Coach went over and sat in an empty classroom for like half an hour, and then he realized that, hey, they weren't having it. So just a note to my many students, John Friend may be coming in and watching you guys do your broadcasting tonight, and that's intimidating. But anyways, Leroy Marsh had a lot of good things to say about John Friend, and like I said, I was so fortunate to play for both of them, and you don't realize some of the lessons that you got from these guys until way later. And really what it is just how to be a man. You gotta this is how you, and not only just how to be a man in incredibly competitive situations. High school football is very competitive. You have to be at your very top. You have to work as a team. You have to be mean and aggressive and so forth. And I look back, and these guys probably didn't mean it but it had helped me be one greedy SOB in the pits of the Board of Trade. It just basically transferred all that John Friend and Leroy Marsh taught me and put it into the pits of the Board of Trade. Next thing you know, you get a couple radio stations. I was honored to interview Coach Marsh on the announcement of his retirement. We're going to play a few spots on the other side of that. You'll be able to watch it on the screens on YouTube, Twitter, and anytime today, you can go into our Facebook feed and watch that interview with Leroy Marsh. Chris Ramirez, also a Munster guy, had some really good questions for Coach Marsh also. But here's the thing you're going to notice about Coach Marsh. I'll tell you a story. Why not? It's my radio stations, and these guys mean a lot to me. I go in the late 90s. I know that I'm trading at the Board of Trade, and that I know that eventually I'm going to come back to media. I worked here at WJOB in the mid-'80s. I fell in love with it, but I couldn't make any money, so I went to Chicago and I started working at the Board of Trade. But in the late 90s, I start writing for the Times. And lo and behold, my first assignment is to go out and cover a Munster football game in, I don't know, 98 or something like that. And I'm apprenticed to this guy who I'm taking his place. He's done. He doesn't want to do it anymore. He's like, I don't know, 60-some years old. Doesn't want to write for the Times anymore. And I can't remember his name, but he was great. And he brings me out to the game, and we watch the game, and we walk the sidelines, and then he goes, all right, watch, we're going to go up to interview Leroy Marsh. He doesn't know that I played for him. And he goes, here's what's going to happen. You're going to ask Leroy Marsh about a specific player or about himself, and he is going to project it out. And the very first thing he's going to say, even though they won and I think they beat Kankakee Valley that night pretty badly, and he's going to go, hey, Coach on the other side did a great job. They had a great game plan. And he gave me Leroy Marsh's script even before we asked him the question. So we go up there, and Coach is like, Jimmy, what are you doing here? I go, well, I'm writing for the Times now. And so then the writer asks him the question. Leroy Marsh says exactly that. He says, I got to tell you, I got to give it to the other coach. They had a great game plan, and their kids played really hard. And he had a script where he projected that praise to the other team, recognizing their efforts, trying not to gloat over the victory, or any sense of we're better than anybody else. And then the second question came up, and he answered it right to the script that the guy had told me. I heard some of that script yesterday, and that script is Leroy Marsh sits down to do the interview, and he's got to tell about why he came to the decision. But then he goes right to this. He's like, I've been very fortunate to know John Friend in my life. I've got Jamie and Chris right next to me. I've had great family. They've supported me all these 45 years I coach football. He projects all of this out. And then he projects it out and is like, I got to give it to the community of Munster. And then, he had a actually really kind of cool segment in this thing. If you guys, I don't know if it's on the video or if it was after the video, but he talks about that he came into football coaching in the early 70s and the mid 70s at the same time that Yelton and Shelbourne and Smith and a bunch of other guys came in to the profession. I know some of these guys. And that they became very good friends with him. And he projects out to those people and he says, he gives them credit for kind of helping and, everybody kind of having a camaraderie of football coaches. And that is something that you are not born with. You are taught how to project to other people credit for your own success. You guys watch that video, and we're going to play a little bit of it on the other side of these spots. But go back and watch that and tell me if I'm not right. Leroy Marsh knows how to project and give other people credit like nobody else. East Chicago guy, comes out of Roosevelt, goes into Munster. This is an incredible region success story. Leroy, I want to thank you on behalf of all of the guys who ever played Munster football for you. Thank you for just being you. And on the other side of this, we'll hear a little bit of Leroy Marsh as he announces his retirement after 45 years of coaching Munster football. Be right back.
John Salzader, candidate for North Township Advisory Board. I am fully qualified, experienced, and will bring a new face and new vision to your township government. Elect John Salzader, SALZEIDER, on May 8th, Democrat.
Approved and paid for by the committee to elect John Salzader.
If you've been arrested or convicted of a crime in the state of Indiana, listen up. You need legal counsel. Doesn't it make sense to call an attorney who not only knows the law, but who knows the system? I'm Nicole Bennett, a former deputy Lake County prosecutor. I do know the system and how to help you with your criminal case. From traffic tickets to cleaning up your driving record to obtaining specialized driving privileges under the new 2015 Indiana law and misdemeanor and felony charges. And as many of you have experienced, I can even have your criminal record erased. Call me at Westland and Bennett in Schererville, 219-440-7550. Again, 219-440-7550.
Men in Kilts is back. The Lake County Sheriff's Department Pipes and Drums annual fundraiser is Saturday, April 21st from 5 to 10 p.m. at the 4-H building, Lake County Fairgrounds. Featuring bagpipers, Irish dancers, silent auctions, and other entertainment. Tickets are $10 at the door, which includes your food and beverage. Come out and support this family-friendly event as we raise funds to honor our fallen brothers and sisters who have given their lives in the line of duty. That's Saturday, April 21st. Kids are welcome. For more information, see our Facebook page, Men in Kilts 2018.
Elections matter, qualifications matter, integrity and honesty matters, and most of all, experience matters. The Honorable Lorenzo Arredondo possesses all of these qualities. Make a wise decision. Vote for Arredondo for clerk on May 8th. Arredondo for clerk. Honest, trustworthy, dependable, and experienced. And there's no substitute for experience.
My name is Lorenzo Arredondo, and I approve this message.
Paid for by the committee to elect Arredondo for clerk.
All right, guys, here it is. We're going to hear a little bit of Leroy Marsh's press conference yesterday. You guys can watch the whole thing on Facebook. Well, not at least the beginning of it. Hit it, Jimmy.
Leroy, you've coached for so many years, and you've coached so many players. What are some of the things that you remember, some of the things that how you influenced your kids?
Well, I tell our kids, and I mean this sincerely, I get an indication of what kind of job we've done when I see them 7, 8, 10 years down the road, and they're leaning against the fence with their son or daughter, and watch what kind of people they've become. And so I always get asked, John Friend and I always get asked, who are the greatest players you coached and all that stuff, and we've coached a lot of great players. I don't really remember the great players so much as I remember the great people. And we've been very fortunate to have so many great young men in our program and some young women also in support staffs. But it's just been wonderful watching them and becoming part of their lives. And now through Facebook and some other things, we stay in touch with them. We have kids all over the world doing different things. But it's been just a joy for Jamie and I to see them. We attend weddings and other functions, couple of years ago, I went and visited, took Patrick down to Arkansas and watched one of my former players who's a colonel in the Air Force take over one of the Air Force bases. So we have lots of very successful young men that I'm very proud of. A lot of them aren't doctors and lawyers, is regular solid citizens who become very solid citizens. And so that's the thing that I think in our program, Coach Friend and I tried to pass on is become a solid person, a good parent, a good husband, and take that from there.
There it is. You want to hear some more, you'll be able to go to Facebook Live, and that was an interview with Leroy Marsh. Al Hamnick was not there. Al Hamnick was not there for the Leroy Marsh interview, but he's here now. So can you guys, I hear an echo out there. Can you guys do something about that? Turn that down. But hey, it's 7:16 in the Calumet region. I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the region. Let's take a look at traffic. 294 around the city is getting a little bit heavy after Cicero, and it's moving okay all the way on up to, after that it's okay all the way up to O'Hare. 80 going east and west looks pretty good, except for this little area right at US 30 where you have an earlier accident. Looks like you can still get through there, but maybe a little bit of a delay going westbound. The Bishop Ford and the Dan Ryan are surprisingly light all the way on up to Jane Byrne, which you really don't get until 22nd Street as a delay. Skyway and the toll road look good. That Borman earlier truck fire, you guys covered great. Did real good coverage on it. That has been moved off to the side. So the Borman's moving well, so is I-65 and the toll road. And traffic brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. Let's take a look at weather. A high of 38 today, afternoon shower or two. Really what that is a snowstorm tonight, and Al Hamnick and I are going to talk that. God must hate baseball and softball. But high of 38 with a snowstorm coming in our way. That sun I talked about, it's still out there behind the line of clouds, but it's going away, and it should be gone until tomorrow when we get a little bit of sun. High of only 44 degrees tomorrow. By Friday, though, mostly sunny and cool and a high of 50. 55 and a little bit of sun here on Saturday. Once again, two main things I'll be at on Saturday, and one is on 9:30 I'll be throwing out the first pitch at Munster Little League will open on Saturday. And then at noon and at 2, I am scheduled to announce on Facebook Live 2 Purdue Northwest softball games. And if you're not doing anything, come out and watch those because they are high-level softball, and it's really pretty cool to watch. And actually might be a decent day to do it. And that's kind of why I'm doing it, because it's going to be a decent day. I got a text yesterday. Al's playing at Ho-Chunk today at 5:30, and then I looked at my phone, and it was 38 degrees, and I'm like, I love my nephew more than anything, but I ain't going out and sitting at Ho-Chunk when it's 38 degrees and not getting paid for it. Sorry, I'm not doing it. I'm the uncle, not the dad. As a dad, I might have done it. As the uncle, I show up when it's 45 or 50 and above. Anyways, 7:19 in the Calumet region. Weather brought to you by Laborers Local 41, of which I am a proud alum. Al Hamnick, the Dean of Sports Writers in Indiana, is with us. Al, I missed you yesterday. You could talk. You could talk now. I missed you yesterday.
I'll tell you what happened. Well, once again, your mic doesn't sound.
Oh, you want me to turn up your headphone? I could do that.
That would help.
All right, how's that? Is that a little bit better?
1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's better.
Is that much better? Okay, you can hear now?
Yeah. I got up. I always check Twitter in the morning. I never thought I'd say that 10 years ago, but I always check Twitter in the morning. And it was about 9 o'clock, and I was getting ready to walk out the door. I had tons of chores to do, errands to run, bills to pay. Sports writers do pay bills, a lot of bills. And I saw Mike Wells' tweet about, and it was sent to me at 8:02 a.m., and it said the press conference is at 10:30. That's unusual because you've been in that situation before where somebody is stepping down. Press conference is the next morning, and you get a day's notice. Well, my whole day was already, taken up, and I thought, this isn't right. 2.5 hours only notice. Seems kind of rushed. Is Leroy being pushed out? That was my first thought. Is he being pushed out, and they just want to get this over with quick? Pardon my skepticism, but as being part of the media, we're very suspicious, critical people.
Why do you have to think the worst in people, Al?
Because of the timing. So I tweeted something that, he was, retiring after 38 years as the head coach, and press conference at 8 o'clock or at 10:30, and that the notice was sent out at 8:05. Well, I've got about 50 or 60 people that responded, and they were all sad and shocked. A couple of them, the timing kind of made them suspicious. Well, I watched your podcast, on the internet, and watched the interview, and it upset me that I wasn't there because I've known him as long as you have. When I started in '70, writing in '70, he was the assistant to John France, so I would have liked to have been there. Anyway, later that night, I sent him an email, congratulating him and wishing him the very best, and what a classy guy, and how much fun it was Friday nights to cover Munster football. And I made a note in there. I said, I just hope you weren't being forced out. Well, Leroy, he's a very capable guy. He got right back to me later that evening and said, no. In fact, the school board wanted him to stay one more year, which I don't think was reported in any of the stories, but one more year. It's just time. And that made me feel better, knowing that a guy like that, and it happens so often today, you get to a certain age and, bye-bye. We want to go that new direction, which I hate hearing that. And I was just hoping that wasn't the case with him, because he deserves much, much better. I'd like to see him stay as football coach until they had to wheel him out onto the field, in a wheelchair. But that's not going to happen. And he just, agreed with, Jamie, his wife, it's time. So I was kind of, sad that, the Leroy Marsh era is ending, but I was happy that he went out on his own terms.
I want to address that. First of all, it kind of sounded like Leroy Marsh woke up and was eating his Cheerios and said, hey, Jamie, I think I'm going to retire today. I think he did it. He might have notified them the night before or whatever. But that's kind of how it went down, and he explained it. And if you guys watch that video, which is very telling, I'm going to ask him those questions, come on, let's find out what the thinking is. And he turned it a little different direction, and Coach Marsh said that it had affected him pretty deeply, that in the last 18 months, he lost his mom, he lost his dad, and he lost his sister. Mm-hmm. And you know what? That'll give you perspective. And, that to me seemed like the underlying motivation to say, hey, you know what? He's going to continue teaching, but you know what? I want to come home after school.
But once again, Jim, if you get the email the night before.
Yes.
And they say, please be in the office tomorrow, 10:30, where, meet Coach Marsh, who is retiring. Then that would have been all different. I watched the video. Do you call it video, podcast, whatever?
That is a Facebook Live video.
Oh, okay. See, I don't have Facebook.
Yeah, Facebook. So. Yeah, I think you may have watched it, whatever. I think we put it in a number of places. But
anyway,
yeah.
I watched it, and the first thing I noticed was that he looked very somber. He looked like, his heart was broken. His son, Chris, was in tears most of the session. Jamie looked very, very sad. And I'm thinking, again, being media, old-time media, is this guy being forced out and basically made to come here and recite the party line about, I've had my time and now I'm going to move on. I looked at all three individuals, family members, because that's a very tight family. And I thought, gosh, they don't seem happy, that now it's a new direction, more family time, more time together. And again, that was, my suspicious mind working overtime. But then after, I sent him the email and he kind of reassured me. And I do believe him when he says that. I do believe him. There are not too many coaches or administrators anywhere that I believe 100%. And I've always believed him because he has nothing to hide. He's straightforward. He's honest. He cares about the kids more than anything else. If he played in a sticker patch field that didn't even have hash marks, he would be more concerned about the kids, not the one-loss record, but are my kids good in school? Can I get them into college? Are they going to amount to good family men? all that down the line. That meant more to him, and that's what really made me feel that he was a special person. So when I saw the three of them sitting there, kind of looking really heartbroken, I was suspicious. And then when I started to hear the discussions, I thought, well, I hope it comes from the heart. I hope it's coming from the heart and not because you were told, let's put on a happy face, let's put on a good face as we walk out the door. And I guess I'm happy that I was wrong. But after doing this for 48 years, I've learned to be suspicious in situations like this because I've seen a lot of good people in sports kicked to the curb after 20, 30 years of, coaching. Athletic directors, the same with them. So we move on, and that's life. We have to accept it.
We have a similar cynicism, and when Al and I talk privately, we're just skeptical, hard-boiled, long-time sports guys. I get that, okay? But in this situation, it was a very somber situation. I was there, Dave Miller's there, and your Times guys there, Ramirez and Hutton, and I'm thinking we're going to laugh and stuff, and we're going to have fun with Coach Marsh, and he's finally going to loosen up. That was not the case. That is not him, okay? And I get that, and I'm getting ready to do my normal joshing around. I know him better than anybody in the room other than his kid and his wife, and I know a bunch of stories, and I'm thinking of bringing them up and funny practice stories and this and that. It was the wrong place for that. That wasn't the attitude, and I'm like, all right, I get it right now. This is a serious interview. I think I made one joke, and then I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that again. All right? That was no reflection to me that there was something untoward going with the school board or anything, and it was just a reflection of how deeply this family, and it's not just Leroy. Jamie runs the press box, the best press box in Northwest Indiana. She's going to continue to do that. Chris says, the son says, hey, listen, he starts tearing up and crying a little bit. And he's like, I remember I started breaking down film with my dad when I was 8 years old. That's what we did on Saturday nights, and that's how we bonded. Yeah. And so it wasn't that, I didn't get that feeling, that kind of feeling that you're getting about a school board that's silently pushing somebody out. As a matter of fact, Leroy Marsh in this interview, or I don't know if it was in that interview or if it was in after when we talked to him, he mentions that the school board in Munster, administrations, athletic directors, everybody he's always dealt with, nobody ever came up and said, hey, listen, you got to get so many wins. It was all about, you got to create student athletes that can go out into the world and be successful. Sure. And that was it. And I know that methodology of both Coach Marsh and the Munster School Board has come under fire over time, okay? But he addressed it head on, and he said no one ever did that, and I thank them for that. I'm not getting, this isn't me getting forced out. This is me saying it's time to move on. I mean, he's been doing it for 45 years. Al, I'll tell you what. I traded for 18 years, and then on my lunch break, I went down and sold my seats and took a train home and said, I think I'm done. My wife's like, what'd you do today? I got just retired from trading. It wasn't that hard, okay? And I wasn't there 45 years. I was there 18. Some guys just do that. And I think that and what I see, that's what I see happened here. He did bring something up, Al. And if you guys want to join in on this, 219-845-1100, Leroy Marsh is retired after 45 years of coaching in Munster, and he did it very quickly. And like Al said, we had 2 hours notice. I was like you, Al. I had a bunch of stuff to do. And I'm like, all right, I got to be there. He's my coach from high school, and he's helped my family, and I'm there. So I had to cancel a bunch of stuff. But here's the deal. He said something. He goes, people don't realize that in the mid-'70s, a bunch of coaches kind of came on the scene at the same time. He mentioned Shelbourne, Yelton, Smith, and maybe like 2 or 3 other ones. And he's right. There was a number of high school football coaches that came on and kind of ran things for a long time. Now, it's all been taken over. We've even run through another cycle. Leroy outlasted everyone. But there was this, we were lucky to have this group of coaches come through at the same time.
District 1, he kind of helped run District 1 as far as getting kids in the North-South All-Star game. Got a lot of kids. I wish in the news release that had how many kids played college football under him. My guess would be well over 150, maybe 200, small and big school. It's going to be a loss. This isn't a wake, and people move on, they retire. But the coaches that came up with him all turned out to be basically Indiana Football Hall of Fame coaches. So he was up against the best, and he held his own. I remember covering all the openers with Valparaiso and Mark Hoffman.
Oh, he mentioned Hoffman, yeah.
Mark Hoffman.
Hoffman was a great coach. Remember that?
Just as active in District 1, getting our kids noticed downstate.
You know what? Leroy talked about Don Howell.
Don Howell?
And, that's a personal sore spot to me, as my last high school football game was in the Bricky Bowl, and I got spit on and I broke a rib, and I'm not a big fan of Hobart football to this day. I'm just a bitter old man about Hobart football, but he talked about a great relationship with Don Howell, and, how that rivalry in the 70s, mostly in the late 70s, early 80s, really kind of defined football around here. I mean, it really set an example of what a high school rivalry at the very highest level is supposed to be when Munster and Hobart played. And, Howell, actually, when Howell retired, he died right after, right? I mean, like a year later or something.
Had a heart attack.
Yeah, had a heart attack. Was he working out, lifting
Jimmy
weights?
McGee's Health Club.
Yeah, Jimmy McGee's, that's right.
On the treadmill.
One of the other things we're talking about Leroy Marsh retiring after 7 years as an assistant in the 70s to John Friend, and then 38 years at the helm. They're a trivia question downstate. What high school football program has only had 2 coaches? Munster High School and John Friend and Leroy Marsh. But one of the things I've talked with Coach Marsh about before, and I asked him to reiterate after this interview, and I have tape of it, and I think your guy has tape of it too, is that, I asked him about youth football. Honestly, privately, he and I have talked about it, but he's never come out, I think, as vocally as he just did yesterday on his opposition to youth football. He went on for, I asked him, Coach, I know we've talked about it, youth football, can you share your feelings? And he's like, all right, I'm going to tell you this. Youth football, the way it is right now, is not good. He's like, I can't believe that 8-year-old kids are playing national championships in Disney World. He's like, he said he preferred the USA way of football, where you're basically playing, you're up until about 10 years old, you're playing flag football. And then, maybe when you get into 11 years old or getting close to middle school, that instead of playing, full head-on football, that they play 7, they play 7-on-7. And that nobody gets down in a three-point stance. You get a lot less collisions, a lot less, heavy tackles and so forth. You really don't put the pads on and start really beating on each other, and maybe until 8th grade football or even freshman. And he's and there have been guys who have come through youth football programs around here and have not gotten support from Leroy Marsh, and have really held it against them. I know a guy out of Munster that to this day just really dislikes Leroy Marsh for his lack of support for Munster youth football, but it comes out of a philosophy, and he finally kind of shared that, and I think that's going to go down as one of the legacies. It didn't make the video interview, but I do have tape on that. Your thoughts on youth football and Leroy Marsh, how he addressed it yesterday?
I don't like it. My nephew lives in Missouri, and his football program is excellent. He's probably maybe 10 or 11. He's been to Disney World twice now, 2 years in a row, playing in national title games at that age. And it's tackle football. And they send out video to the high schools and down there, they take football, high school football and youth football very seriously. I don't like it. The injury factor, being burned out, because you played football. I mean, I would have played football, but I just didn't have the knees for it. The burnout rate is high because you pour so much of your body and soul into the sport. It's not a sport like basketball where, you can go home after practice and still dig up a backyard or, plant a tree or something. After football, you are wasted. You've got nothing left. And after game night, doubly. So, I mean, you're just, taxed to the maximum.
He talks a lot about the head, the head collisions.
Well, sure. That's always, a friend of mine, and I want to do something on this eventually when I can get more confirmation. A friend of mine knows a person real close to Gail Sayers. And I didn't know this because there's been nothing in the media, but this friend of mine said, yeah, I talked to this buddy a couple of days ago. Gail Sayers has CTE.
Oh, he's shot. I've heard
He doesn't even know where he's at. He's kind of like not in a nursing home, but his memory's gone. And this is all from football. And he was a great, great player. He didn't even have a full career. And I always think back about guys like that. I mean, the Kansas Comet, you couldn't stop him. You couldn't catch him. And yet he still got hit enough to be in the condition he's in today.
He lowered his head sometimes.
He did.
He was strong enough. If you guys remember number 40 for the Chicago Bears, he was an icon in late 60s, 70s, early 70s. And he was more of a straight-up runner. But I remember playing youth football and guys saying, hey, every once in a while, even Gail Sayers lowers his head. And he would lower his head, and he would just knock people over.
He didn't dish out the punishment like Peyton did.
No.
But he was still so elusive. And now to be in that situation, when I look back at that and then I hear about these young kids playing, I agree with you. Flag football would be perfect.
Oh, I'm all in on it. I know that there's a lot of people that have their kids playing it and so forth, and they're trying to run it like a big-time program. Yeah. I think Leroy Marsh's method, even though he took heat for it from some folks, is the way to go. And I think that's being, we're learning that, is, minimize the amount of just jacks to the head you take. Now, I was sitting there looking at Leroy Marsh coming out of East Chicago Roosevelt, and I just remember a story of, I think it was Pete Rusinski. Would that have been like the coach there in the 50s? And I don't know if it was Coach Friend who told the story or if it was Leroy Coach Marsh himself. But he told the story that here's how they would do their kickoff team. They would, they had the juniors and seniors. Those kind of ran all the plays. On their kickoff team, they'd line up 11 sophomores, 10 sophomores, and a kicker. And that was the only play they got to play. And they would run down, and they would just be animals and would throw their heads into anything and have massive amounts of collisions. And they were one of the best kickoff teams in the state of Indiana because those sophomores, who were eventually going to be players and stars, just came down. And I'm thinking about, I can't even imagine those collisions in those days with that crappy helmet and what they were going through. And then Coach Marsh explains it. He goes, listen, I didn't strap on pads till I was in 8th grade. Okay? I wasn't taking all those shots when I was in 3rd grade or 2nd grade or 5th grade or 6th grade. I strapped on pads when I was in 8th grade and really wasn't getting that kind of hits until I got to varsity football. That's a big difference. I'm sure he took massive hits playing for East Chicago Roosevelt. And then where did he go to Augustana maybe, or wherever he played college football? That makes a huge difference.
I think they were on I think they were on Valpo University's schedule for a long time. I think Augustana and VU played quite a bit.
Coach says yesterday, he says, high school football is safer now than it's ever been. But we have to mitigate how many hits the kids are getting until they get to that point. Makes complete sense. It was not a thought that was in vogue for 20, 25 years. It is completely true now. Hey, 219-845-1100 if you want to join us. And we will be right back here on the voice and face of the region. And I'm not playing this spot just because it's two older sports guys. It just has an effect for a number of people. Here it is.
Men, are you taking Viagra or Cialis for ED? ED should not stand for expensive drugs. If you're taking Viagra, talk with your doctor about Sildenafil. Now you could get the same active ingredient in Viagra in generic 20-milligram tablets for less than $2 each, saving over $30 per dose. Available at Vito's Pharmacy. Call us 219-228-7200 or visit us at vitospharmacy.com.
Vito's Pharmacy.
Ironworkers Local 395, through their contractor employers, the Northwest Indiana Contractors Association, are the workers you see building Northwest Indiana. They are the craftsmen building your schools, hospitals, malls, steel mills, and manufacturing plants. They support local charities, including Tradewinds and Chasing Dreams, and they coach your kids after work and on the weekend. They live, work, and contribute to all of our local communities' economic growth. To find out more about these organizations, visit ironworkers395.com or nwicontractors.org.
Save the date, April 19th, for the 2018 Fair Housing Act's 50th Anniversary Celebration and Awards Reception being held at the Center for Visual and Performing Arts in Munster from 3 to 8 p.m. At 3 p.m., there will be a continuing education class. From 5 to 6:30 p.m., enjoy a cocktail reception, and 6:30 to 8 p.m., program and awards. Tickets in advance are $35 or $45 at the door. A portion will go to NWIRA programs. That's April 19th from 3 to 8 p.m., hosted by Lake County Housing Task Force and Bankers Community Council of NWIRA.
Theo's Steak and Seafood sets the standard of fine dining excellence. Delicious USDA prime meats and steaks, along with the freshest seafood in the area. Celebrate your special event with friends, family, and associates in our private dining room that can seat up to 125 people. For information, call 838-8000 or theoshighland.com. Also visit our other restaurants, Prime Steakhouse, Umi Sushi and Lounge in Crown Point, and Ted's Family Restaurant in Calumet City.
John Salzader, Democratic candidate for North Township Advisory Board. You have heard me on these airways before talking about my family charity, its events, and the groups it supports. Now I've decided to run for your North Township Board. I am well qualified and ready to work for you. Elect John Salzader.
Approved and paid for by the committee to elect John Salzader.
Good morning, everybody. 7:42. All right. As soon as I say 3, 2, 1, we're on the air. You got to stop talking, Al. All right. I know because we're talking about stuff that's could be kind of confidential.
Ooh, okay, Professor.
Okay, it was confidential conversation, and you're continuing it, even though I told you to be quiet. Hey, 7:43 in the Calumet region. I'm Jim Diedlow, host of JED in the region. Thanks for joining us. And Al Hamnick's with me, the longtime sports writer, started writing in 1970 for local newspapers and still continues to this day. Traffic 294 around the city is bad from Cicero on up to Stevenson. And other than that, it's okay. In Joliet, it seems like every day you have something coming east or west. Now you got something eastbound on I-80, and that is right past 355. You have an accident right at Parker Road, if you know where that is. If you know anybody coming back from Joliet, they've got a delay. The Bishop Ford and the Dan Ryan, you got a little brake tapper at the merge, but, man, I'll tell you what, it is light today on the Bishop Ford and the Dan Ryan. Skyway and the Toll Road in the Borman are all moving along pretty well. Also, we had an earlier truck fire. Thanks a lot to texters. We had 3 different people send in photos, and you guys did a great job of basically informing the rest of the region of what's going on. I was able to describe it, and we were able to flash the photo up here on our streaming video, and we very much appreciate it. That's how you get stuff done as a group. And let's take a look at what's going on in the weather. The traffic, of course, brought to you by Napleton River Oaks Honda, proudly serving Northwest Indiana with superior customer service. Now, the Bishop Ford and the Dan Ryan are as light as they've been at this hour in a while. And that may be the case tomorrow because we got we got a winter storm coming tonight. It has been a beautiful sunrise. I tried to share that with you as much as I can. The sun's gone and the clouds have come in. Sometime afternoon, we're looking at a sleet coming in, and then overnight into the afternoon and into the night hours, we're looking at some snow. Ryan, what happened to the Purdue Northwest baseball games today? We're going to get a final call on that. Sam Michael texted us. We'll get a call on that. I know a number of other games at the high school level were canceled for today, and we'll see what's going on with the PNW doubleheader. Tomorrow, a high of 44, turning sunny and cold. And Friday, a high of 50, mostly sunny and cool. And then by Saturday, cool with periods of sun and a high of 55. So at least you'll be able to open up the various little leagues and youth baseball leagues that are going to be playing on Saturday. And I'll be throwing out the first pitch at Munster at 9:30 in the morning. And I'm sure it'll be a brisk 39 degrees. But later in the day, it'll get up to 55. By Sunday, plenty of sunshine and a high near 60. It's coming. Sunday is the day to clean out your garage and open the door and enjoy it. Al Hamnick is with me, and he's in his, it's tomorrow. The P&W doubleheader softball is been moved to tomorrow, and then I'll be out there Saturday announcing the games at noon and 2. So they got a lot of games to get in a short period of time. Luckily, with softball, the pitcher can pitch a bunch of games, and it doesn't matter. You can just jam those games. Baseball, it's a little bit different. Al, you want to take some phone calls?
Yeah, just one more thing on Leroy. To show you how good he was for the community, the entire Northwest Indiana. And you've probably known this for a year because it's happened several times. On more than one occasion, Gary schools, their equipment is terrible. It looks like it was dug up in somebody's garbage and back in the alley. More than once or twice, he has given Munster football helmets that they no longer use, because they always, Munster gets new equipment about every other year. He would give them to Westside High School or to Roosevelt High School to use, and then all they would have to do is just, repaint them. Because theirs were safety concerns with theirs. There were cracks. Gene Johnson at Westside used to put duct tape over his helmets where the cracks were. And Leroy knew about this and then reached out and said, here, here's all new, basically new helmets. That kind of guy. A lot of coaches wouldn't do that. And well, that's the enemy. That's our opponent. We can't be, kissy with them. But he threw that attitude out the window and helped anybody he could at any time. And I'm going to miss that as well, because a lot of coaches today are very private and secretive and territorial, but he was never like that.
And once again, if you guys are wondering what we're talking about Leroy Marsh, the football coach at Munster for the past 38 years. Before that, he was an assistant under John Friend for 7 years, 45 years. Just kind of came on and hastily called news conference yesterday, and you can watch that interview with Leroy on the WJOB Facebook feed. Hey, let's take some phone calls, 219-845-1100. It's just me and Al and you, and a snowstorm, a winter storm is coming. So let's just hang out for the next 10 minutes or so. I'd like to hear from you. 599 phone line. It is Scott. Scott, how are you?
Hey, Jim. Hey, Al. How you guys doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. I just want to call, too, because, my history with Coach Marsh was I coached against him when I coached at TF South High School under Tom Pageant. And as a young kid, my uncle played with you, Jim, at Munster. So
you're talking about George Dramonis?
Yes, it's me, Jim.
Yes, I know who this is. Yes, okay, go ahead.
Talk about influential between John Friend, Coach Marsh, and Tom Pageant. I don't think the region realizes how lucky we are to just have those three in our history, along with some of the other names you mentioned. Al, I would love to see you do an interview article with Coach Marsh and Coach Pageant, who just retired last year. I think that would be just incredible if you sat those two gentlemen down and interviewed them for a piece in the Times.
What was Tom, about 40 years at South or 35 years at South?
Yes.
Long time.
He was my high school coach, and then I went back and coached with him, and then to have the opportunity to coach against Coach Marsh and to know Coach Friend. I mean, now that I've moved out of coaching, I'm a school administrator. They're still influential in everything I do every day in my approach to kids. And it was always kids first with all of those gentlemen. And I don't know if we always have that today, because you guys talked about, Coach March saying football today has never been any safer. And it probably is. But do we have the right coaching in the youth sport for that?
That's where it starts.
Okay, hold on. Let me talk about this. All right, stay on the line, Scott. And this was a big part of the youth sports thing. And that Leroy addressed that. He said, hey, listen, I'm going to coach. I've been coaching for 38 years. I'm going to have the highest level high school coaches around me. Paget was coaching forever. You go over here to Griffith, even Ben Geffert, who's over there. He actually coached under Marsh for a while. And you get guys that are trained in it, and they have trained staff. His main concern about youth football, outside of burning kids out and the collisions. So I guess the top three things was that in that a lot of times guys are, they're a truck driver or they're a dentist or something, and they come out and they try to coach youth football, and they really don't have the training for it. And then that sometimes is when kids get hurt. And you don't that's not really talked about, is that the training's not there, and that can hurt kids.
Yes, and I will tell you, you guys talked about Coach Marsh and his relationship with Pop Warner football. Our relationship in Lansing was probably very similar, but those two have just such a wealth of experience and knowledge. I'd love to see them work with USA football. We had a former referee, Bill Lemonier, from the area, and he works with Football USA. I would love to see those two gentlemen get involved. They just have so much to offer.
There's not a lot of movement, and what he means by USA football is basically starting on with flag football and then moving into 7-on-7 before the kids get a little older, and you strap the pads on it. There is not a movement for that here, Scott, and I don't know how that would ever change.
I agree, and it's a shame because Al can remember probably the Smith brothers that played at T of South. All three went on to college. One played in the NFL for a limited time. They didn't play football until they were in high school.
Oh, I go back.
No need, and they were the biggest kids every time.
I go back to Al Fryman at TF South, Ron Tomczak at TF North. That's when I started in the business. Oh my God, football in the area, plus all the great coaches we had here in Northwest Indiana. Every Friday night was just an absolute ball to go out and watch these guys and their teams.
Scott, what happened with the Smith brothers?
But one played at Vanderbilt, one played at IU, and another played at Southern Illinois, and he was the one actually that ended up playing for the Cincinnati Bengals on a limited time. Their careers have moved on into the business world, but again, they didn't start playing football until high school, freshman year.
Yeah, and, I played at Hammond Shamrocks over here. When I was a kid, I'd ride my bike from Munster. I was the only kid from Munster on the Hammond team, and I loved playing. We traveled all around, but I look back on it, at least Skip Smith and Goatee were pretty good coaches, but not everybody has that luxury, and I think Leroy's got a point, and it took a long time to come around to that. Thanks a lot, Scott. Talk to you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
219-845-1100. Al Hamnick in with me. Steven, you're up. Line 599. What's going on, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
All right, man.
Hey, I've coached football at Maryville for about going on 18 years now for Pop Warner, and I disagree with that. You actually need good coaches in the youth sector to help teach these kids the right ways. And in Maryville, we've had, since Coach Yelton, we've had good relations with our high school coaches. And there's tons of training that these youth coaches have to go through in clinics and different videos and certifications we have to get. So it's not just your average truck driver or fireman coaching a sport. I mean, just like your radio commercials for your laborers and union workers, that's you got out there coaching. Some people choose not to be a teacher. They choose to go in the trades or whatever, and they still got the skills to coach.
Stephen, I think that's our point. You do need good coaches at that youth level. But do we have enough of them right now? Do we have too many guys living vicariously through the kids, which always worries me?
I mean, I could tell you right now through the Maryville program, we have a great coaching staff out there for our youth. We play against great teams like Portage, Michigan City, Hobart. This whole area is stacked with a bunch of good youth coaches. So I just needs to be, I know a lot of people are scared because they don't want their kids to get hurt. We see the numbers getting dropped, but I just, right now in this area, I think we're still good right now with the talented coaches we have and kids, and it helps when the high school does work with these programs.
Stephen, how about what Leroy Marsh had to say yesterday is that he preferred that the guys weren't strapping the pads on at a real early age in very competitive situations with, big tournaments. And, he said, he goes, an 8-year-old doesn't need to be playing in a national championship at Disney World. And what do you say to that, basically, just getting them too involved in a very collision-filled sport at too early of an age?
I do know Pop Warner just changed the rules this year to no more 3-point stances You got to start in a 2-point stance because there is a push for that. As far as a young age, I know it starts at 5 in Pop Warner. Maybe I don't agree with the tackling at 5 years old, but around 8 years old is when the time the kids do get into it, and teams do have the option to either play or not play, whether they want to go to Disney or not go to Disney. I'm for it. If the kids are good enough and they deserve to go, then let them go and let them get the experience because they may never get that again in their life.
All right, Steven, thanks for calling. Steven, you sound like a guy that is not the guy that Leroy's talking about. Okay, I get that. But you've met them, and you know them, and you know that.
There are some out there, correct. There are some, but like I said, I know, for instance, Pop Warner and them are putting in, their certification. You have to get, there's classes you have to go to. They are putting steps in there so you don't get the average Joe off the street that doesn't know.
All right, man. Thanks for calling in.
All right, thank you.
Al, what was the sign you just made?
5 years old? Playing football at age 5? Most of us, and I think 80% of the people that listen to your program, when we were in high school, our first 2 years of high school, we were gangly, uncoordinated, kind of nerdy before your body really developed and you could do stuff that required athletic ability. Because not everybody is born a natural athlete. You had these little kids tackling, throwing their bodies around at that age, 8, 9, 10. They're not coordinated yet. Their bodies aren't. And John Dougherty will tell you this. Lauren Brown will tell you this. The bones in the body are still developing. The growth plate, is still developing. And you're diving for people and tackling people, and you probably don't know how to tackle properly. At that young age, invites trouble. It invites disaster as far as a kid getting hurt. You could have the best equipment on, but if he doesn't know what he's doing and the coach doesn't know what he's doing, it's a recipe for, disaster.
Let's go to Vinny. Vinny, line 599. Vinny, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how you guys doing? Yeah, Jim. I met Coach March through my older brother's friend, Andy Nassum. He had 2 boys that went to Munster who played for Coach March, and just a class.
Very good linebacker. One of the boys was a very good linebacker. But anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, he was very class, and then I seen him at our dentist office, and I says, "Hey, Coach, how you doing?" He says, "I'm good," and that's when they were going into the state finals, and I said, let's just go ahead and let's just bring it home, and he said, "Yeah, we will," and things just didn't work out the way they did, and but he was just class, and that's I just want to mention that he was just a nice gentleman, what he did, here for Northwest Indiana.
All right, Vinny, good hearing from you. I don't want to talk any longer because your Pirates got a team this year, and I don't want to hear that. Bye. All right, let's go to Dave from Gary. Dave, your last one. Go.
Hey, Jed. Hi, Al. I had a question for
Dave.
you, and to throw a twist on this, when you talk about, coaching and starting contact early, 5 years old, there's certain school corporations in the area, when you talk about injury and fundamentals, junior high, middle school, no tackle practices. To me, this is the twist, is now start getting bureaucracy and administration in the way of teaching these kids. How can you have a no tackle practice and then expect to know the fundamentals and not get hurt in a live action game? And there's my question for you both. Thanks.
I don't have an answer for that, Al.
My answer would be, are you physically ready in the 6th and 7th grade to tackle, to chase somebody down, to wrap them up? Tackling is an art. I know it's a corny phrase, but tackling is an art. Wrapping your arms around them, going down to the ground with them. We watch it in the NFL, and it's 90% wrong most of the time because, they're going for the neck, the neck area, the head area, trying to take their legs off from under them. I kind of favor the administrations having that rule. I just don't want to see a young kid that can't chew gum and walk a straight line at the same time get seriously injured playing a sport that really requires a high degree of athleticism, and that's football. Now, if he wants to play basketball, 6th grade, 5th grade, 1st grade, and they play as young as probably kindergarten, these little youth leagues, that's fine. or baseball, t-ball. But football is a different. I mean, football can get you far in life, and it can shorten your life.
Leave it right there. He's Al Hamnick. He's been around a long time. We're talking about Leroy Marsh. He retires from Munster as a head football coach after 38 years. Just woke up one morning, said that's it. And we had the press conference yesterday. You can watch that interview on our Facebook Live feed. And that'll end it, Al. We had other stuff we wanted to get to. We need to talk about Popovich one of these days. I don't know where he's headed, but he is getting very vocal on a lot of things.
He's getting roasted over the coals. The pro-Trump camp in San Antonio and in parts of Texas, where the Spurs are very upset with him because he goes after Trump, and he's got some of his own fans, barking up the tree. I'd also like to say, as we close up, that Jack and Karen Callahan hit it out of the ballpark Saturday night at 911 Slugfest. More than 3,000 people at the Civic Center. It's so good to see that place close to being full. And I have a feeling that they really raised a lot of money this time for the Little Wish Foundation, a new sponsor, basically, or a new benefactor. I hope they keep doing this for a long time. It's not just old fighters and young fighters. It's families that come out because it's for such a great cause. But congratulations to them. They really did a fantastic job. I was looking for you. You weren't.
Al, I had to go. I didn't have to, but I had chose to go to the American Heart Association's Black Tie event. And note to both the Heart Association and to Jack and Karen Callahan, the Heart Association thinks probably 400 people, and some of those people would have been attendees at Civic Center. And quite frankly, the Heart Association probably loses a few people to 911 Slugfest. So guys, just try to schedule away from each other. It's a simple phone call. But I went to that, raised a lot of money for that. Centier Bank was a big one, and the Electricians Union and Iron Workers Union, they were all there. So, I had to get over there and show my support. Could be in two places. And I had 3 guys go to the thing. They told us all about it. And next year, I promise, my choice will be the 911 Slugfest.
They represented your station well, throwing debris from the upper balcony. They really got into it.
I was a little worried about the folks that went over there, but evidently they made it through. Al, like always, we all appreciate what you do for Northwest Indiana, my friend.
It's fun. Thank you.
All right, guys. I'm out. Kuziak's in. Who knows what happens next? See ya.
On May 8th,